Crossroad Circle, another episode of Temple Dive. We're going to be diving into a Buddhist temple, the Hwazan Buddhist Foundation to be exact. It's one of the biggest denominations of Chinese-speaking Buddhist in the United States and Taiwan.
Bring people together to understand each other. So that's what he's doing for now, for this interview. So to give people some idea about Buddhism and why we come here, so people understand each other. And,
About a week before this interview, I walked into the temple and I met Tracy. She gave me a tour and she told me a lot about her beliefs. I scheduled this interview and I came back, and when I got here, she told me that she knew the head English-speaking monk for Hwazan Temple, a guy who also grew up in Seattle. When I got there for the interview, she wanted to introduce me to him, so she called him, and the preceding interview is going to be me talking to him. Now, amazingly, or hilariously, depending on how you look at it, I found out that he is also an ex-Jehovah's Witness, which made for a pretty interesting conversation. Jason, how you doing, bro? Good. So I'm here at Hwazan Temple. Did I say that right?
yes,
Hwazan?
that's right.
So I wanted to ask you a few questions about what made you decide to be a practitioner over here or come to this temple in particular.
The type of, they are a Pure Land sect, or Pure Land Buddhist sect, and they practice really hard, I guess. Like they're very diligent, and it's very traditional. So that's kind of, at least in the Seattle area, a rare thing to find. And it's in line with my own. I've been practicing Buddhism for about 30 years, so I also practice pretty, I guess, diligently or a lot. And I was looking for a place where the people are in line with that.
Okay. Do you, what was your religious upbringing like? Tell me about that.
I was raised a Jehovah's Witness originally.
Oh, that's crazy. Me too.
There you go.
What congregation did you go to?
When I was young, I went to Marsh Island and then Kirkland and Redmond.
Okay, I was at Rainier.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm south a little bit.
Yeah, I think what's his name? One of the governing body members, one of the old ones, he used to go there too.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah, I've done a few videos on them too, but they're not as positive.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So, at what point did you stop being a Jehovah's Witness? Are you disfellowshipped?
No, I never got baptized, and I left it at about 17, and then I learned my first Buddhist meditation stuff sometime around then, 17 and a half, so about 6 months later, and it just slowly became my thing, I guess.
Okay. Are some of your family members still Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, all of them are.
Oh, that's crazy. How do they feel about you being a Buddhist?
I think it ranges from kind of not that interested to they feel bad for me that I am one.
Yeah, they think you're like a Satan worshiper or something now.
Yeah, it just depends on which one and what they know about it and stuff. They've seen it's changed me for the positive, so they can't really say a lot that way. Like, they just wouldn't do it themselves, but they've seen it be a positive thing in my life.
Yeah, I had a conversation with one of my uncles who's an elder recently, and I was saying, hey, yeah, like I'm doing this thing to where I'm doing temple diving. I'm going to all these different temples and sacred spaces and trying to like make connections and bridge with people and bring communities together and like also find understanding And I was like, so like I went to this Buddhist temple. I was like, how do you feel about Buddhism? He's like, well, I didn't really do any research on it, but I know that I don't agree with it.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah, and I was like, what do you not agree with? And it's funny because he like just became a vegetarian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you're a vegetarian? I'm like, that's good. And I'm like, because, you know, in Jehovah's Witnesses, they believe in the new world, in paradise earth, that everybody will be a vegetarian, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true now that you say that. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, but it's like, why aren't you a vegetarian now?
Yeah.
You know, and then I was like, why you guys do that? And then he's like, well, I don't know. And I was like, well, you know, like a lot of Buddhists believe like, you know, vegetarianism is like a better option. He's like, well, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, that's like a thing. But then I'm like thinking like, there's so many similarities, and I'm like, you don't know what you disagree with them about other than what the name of God is, and then some other stuff. But you know, there's definitely not.
That's true.
Yeah. But I mean, there's more destructive stuff in Jehovah's Witnesses, like the blood transfusion issue, and, you know, a myriad amount of other things. Yeah. But I'm glad you found something that works for you.
Yeah, it's great. I don't even know if Buddhism is really a religion. There's different types of Buddhism for every type of person. So Pure Land, the temple that you're at, is actually kind of Buddhism geared for either people that would, in other cultures, maybe would be attracted to something like Christianity, because it has a devotional aspect to it. And it also simultaneously is sort of one of the highest levels of Zen. So it kind of pulls both. It pulls people that are deeply into the direct experience of what Buddhist practices do, and also people who just want to create good karma, be nice, and do things in this life that are going to help them kind of set themselves up at the time of death.
Now, are there any other like Buddhist schools that you went to before ending up here?
Yeah, tons of them. I've practiced in a lot of traditions. Are you curious about specific ones?
Not necessarily. Did anything stand out to you? Was there any that were particularly influential, or any that left a bad taste in your mouth?
I think some modern Buddhism, some of what is called Buddhism in the West, kind of.
Yeah.
It's very, I don't know, it's very.
Kind of like Alan Watts Buddhist.
Whether it's Buddhist or whether it's kind of psychology with Buddhist influence, maybe. But all of the traditional, like, Buddhist stuff, all the teachings in Buddhism come from things Buddha talked about, and the way that it was recorded isn't like the Bible. You can't directly interpret it and say this is right and this is wrong. It's kind of like you just have to run experiments to see if it works for you, and if it does, there's kind of more and more guidance about that, but no one ever holds the reins of this is how it is and that's not, or anything like that. So, and Buddha himself wasn't a figure that asked to be treated in that way. He taught that you should find what works instead of looking at how somebody looks or what their reputation is or what ethnicity they are, etc. And he taught everything was like to be found out firsthand or to be tasted directly. So because of that, I haven't really had a bad experience with any actual Buddhism. I've found some
fake Buddhist
Buddhism before, of different types, and if a person didn't know better, you could probably have a bad experience, but the real thing, generally, it all has that thread running through it. Like, it works for people.
Well, how about I rephrase it? Were there any schools or temples that you feel like were just fake Buddhist and they were like scams? I'll censor your answer if you don't want to like strike up any controversy also.
I have gone to a school in Thailand that was just kind of, it just had a cult-like atmosphere to it, and I looked it up later, and it is somewhat cult-like, and also it's very famous. It's so famous that some Thai airlines have advertisements for that temple in their magazines. So, yeah, there's just some Buddhism that has been tweaked to like appeal to businessmen or people that don't want to change their life at all, and that kind of thing doesn't sit well with me. Like, it's not very rooted in what Buddhism is as I know it. So that's as close as I could say it.
Yeah, I feel. All right, well, I think I'm going to let you go now. I'm going to get your number from Tracy because I'd like to, like, you know, get back in touch with you, especially with the, you know, being that you're like a fellow apostate.
Sure.
And, you know, I'd like to go on that because that's a pretty interesting one because, you know, I hear a lot of like most ex-Jehovah's Witnesses turn either extremely atheist or they just like, you know, become like a different denomination of Christian, you know, from what I've seen. Yeah. I'm one of the rare exceptions, and I guess you are too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think most of the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses my age or younger have done one of those two things. They either kind of become like nihilist or atheist or else they just find some other thing like Orthodox Christianity or something that they can go right back into.
They're little I think of it kind of as like the atheist or like the abolitionist and the reformist.
Sure.
You know, like there's also like a lot of people in the community that like it's like that are like, I'm gonna make my own version of Jehovah's Witnesses that's like better. And it's like, just leave it alone, bro. Like, just leave it and go. Like, take your money and run. Yeah, my mom's kind of like that too. She's not a part of it anymore, but she, you know, she's like, she still kind of is. But it's just weird. But my dad's side of the family is like opposite. They're like, they were all on some other stuff. And you know, my grandma, my maternal grandma, she's the main Jehovah's Witness one. And she tried to like bring that into the family, but you know, it only worked on part of the family, so.
Yeah, it's just kind of its own thing, but I'm totally game to talk about it if you want to sometime.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
All right, well, it was great talking to you. I'm gonna let you go now.
Okay, have fun.
All right, take care.
Bye, Jason.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
He's going to a 9-day self-retreat at the retreat center starting this evening.
Please like, share, and subscribe if you feel like this is an interesting video. We're trying to make our way to 500 subscribers, so share us if you can. If we can get 500 subscribers, we can have a little community posting section, and we can talk more about what our organization does.